anyway, just an update on the phones. Probably the last time you'll ever hear me talk about the phones in a meeting setting, which is, believe me, makes nobody happier than me. I'm tired of talking about the phones. But at any rate, the phones are done. All right. So the last step in our phones being done are home phones. So I know a few of you guys have said, "Hey, I'm interested in that," and we kind of put you off because we wanted to make sure we got Claremont, Covina, and Redlands and all the offices basically dialed in. We have all of those offices dialed in. I've been to several of their meetings now, and I haven't heard anybody come to me recently anyway and say, "Hey, we have a phone problem," whether it's a static problem or drop calls. We get them occasionally, but nothing on mass volume. So anyway, our phone system is done, which means that probably within, what, Brian, the next few weeks, we could potentially start to. By the way, there's only 3 or 4 of you that have said you want a phone at your home. So if we only have 3 or 4 of you, Brian may be able to start deploying.
I've already got some of them programmed. I just need to give them, like Debbie. I've got hers done in the Delgados.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're interested in that, shoot me an email. Come see Brian, and we'll get you set up. But anyway, they're done. They're working really good. We're pretty happy, and away we go. Just a reminder. We're trying to do a little bit better job updating the calendar. We are going to start kind of our series of training starting in October. So if you're interested in some of those are repeats, but we're going to be doing the listing presentations and all that sort of stuff. Whatever that is, an 18 series thing. And then Norm is going to be doing some of his contract college stuff starting in October. So we'll have anywhere from 1 to 2 days a week of training. Some of it is repetitive, I get that, so if you've already seen it or you just want to watch the video, that's fine. But anyway, we'll be doing live trainings on Thursdays, and we may actually do some training on Tuesdays as well, depending on what Norm's schedule is. Portals are still there. Anybody using the portals? 1, 2, 3? Wow, okay, good, that's 4. That's 4 more than I thought. Good. So let's go, okay, good. Okay, on the monthly sales awards, I've got, I'm going to have to defer a couple of things because, again, I would have normally done this last night and I just was in no mood to do it and I didn't get up early enough to do it this morning. So on the listing sides, well, by the way, let's just take an informal survey. Who had a good listing month in the month of, wait a minute, July, because we're a couple months back. Okay? Okay, so nobody's claiming a good month for July, so nobody's disappointed that you're not going to get the top lister for the month of July? Okay, then we probably won't have a top lister for the month of July. How about August? Did anybody have a steaming August? Team Linda Kugel over here, Shelly's hands up. Anybody else do great listing-wise in August? Okay, that actually feels right. Because if I look at the numbers that come in every day, we run the hot sheet every day, and as we all know, maybe we will spend a lot of time talking about inventory levels today, but the listed inventory is dreadfully down. Who ran Moreno Valley in the last day or two? What is it? Somebody give it to me.
155 yesterday.
155. Hey, that's up. It was 144 last Thursday. Market's high. What is that? That's an 8% increase in inventory. Woo! So at any rate,
7 3/4.
The 7 3/4%. Thanks, Mike. Mike is the mathematician. All right. So at any rate, obviously we need listings. For those of you that are getting listings, whether they're short sales or others, money in the bank, baby. I'm telling you. I know they're hard.
Thank you.
But you know, capturing that listing inventory is where it's at. Okay. So I will go back. I will circle back and take a look at specifically Shelley for her August listings because it sounds like she's the only one who's willing to jump out and say, "I think I got it." So anyway, on the sales side, for July, Mr. Michael Boab, Polskamp.
Really? What did I do, one deal?
You did one deal, and I'm going to give you this wonderful elite brochure that is redeemable for a plaque, which you can pick up. And a burrito. And that's redeemable for a plaque, which we will get ready for here in the next couple of days. So anyway, congratulations, Michael. Top sales for July. And for August was our former sales manager and rock star, Shelley Linda Kugel. So, I need another brochure. Give me your brochure there.
Hey, I'll give her mine.
Excellent. And a yogurt.
Oh!
With no spoon.
Yeah.
All right.
Chevy did better than that.
At any rate, actually Mike and Shelley had pretty good Mike had a great July, and Shelley had an even better August as far as closings were concerned. And I think we made a mistake. The Delgados got aced out of a sales award, I think, for May. So there'll be some adjustments going back.
There's more yogurt.
Give him another yogurt. Get a yogurt to the Team Delgado. So, at any rate.
By the way, that's my leg. Right
That's
there.
your, yeah, that is Shelley. She posed for that, actually. Absolutely. So, anyhow.
Is that a high school picture?
August actually, overall, for all of the offices for August was a pretty good month closing-wise. It wasn't great, but you know, as far as the year goes, it wasn't too shabby. The listings are really been the big challenge. I mean, if we go back and we look at listings taken over the last, you know, couple 3 months, and it's obvious. I mean, the inventory is what it is. But that's just been the big challenge. So I don't have any magic bullets for you guys, other than, you know, anything that you're doing that you're getting any sort of success on the listing side. Whether you're working notice of defaults, and I know the short sale sellers just don't seem to be engaged. You know, if you've got the bank accounts, there's just not a lot of inventory coming there. And I know Dwayne's picking up a couple. I've picked up a couple. Diane's not here. I don't know if she's picked up anything recently. But there just needless to say that inventory is not there. Along the line of the listing, and we're going to kind of talk about this a little bit with the market data. Matter of fact, let's just pull it up right now. I didn't have time to copy it onto my screen, so let me run to the PowerPoint rather. Let me pull this up here real quick. What am I looking for? Okay, I'm just going to pull up Sierra MLS. Medium price, here we go. Okay, this is medium price Sierra MLS. A little bit difficult to see. I think that says 6.4% increase from 2 years ago. But if you actually look at February of 2012, at least as far as this chart is concerned, was the bottom, if you will, for median price for all of Sierra MLS. Since then, and I think I already did the math on this, but we'll let Mike test me out. February of 2012, median is this number right here. We're looking at the sold. It's 214,300, and the median as of August was 250. So by my calculations, that's about $35,000 higher than it was 5-6 months ago, and that represents, what is that, 14% increase in property values in Sierra MLS in, how many months is that? 5 months? 6 months?
6 months.
If you look at some of these other areas, we're seeing the exact same thing. You look at Moreno Valley. I mean, Drew's written 240 offers for that investor in the last 3-4 weeks, and everything, multiple offers, same old story, above list price, yeah, cash, you were telling me just a moment ago, same story. So, now the good news with this, and again, I don't want to get into too much of a debate as to whether it's artificial or whether you're comfortable with it, because it is artificial and I'm not comfortable with it, but it is the reality that we're dealing with. How many people went from a short sale to a standard sale in the last 3 months in Sierra MLS? I would think a few. Okay, I don't know what the number is. I don't know what the percentage is. But if you were on the cusp and you didn't necessarily want to go through a short sale and all of the headache and the hassle to go with this, and I think I told this story a month or so ago with Taya, who had a client out in Claremont. I think we're going to start to see some people that are going to qualify as standard sellers, and they may not have a lot of equity. Maybe they have no equity. Maybe it's just an even Steven deal. But we're starting to see. Remember, I said 4 or 5 months ago we're going to see a 50% increase in property values by the end of the year, or certainly within the first quarter. I still believe that. I'm more convinced now than ever that we're going to see huge jumps in property values. And we'll see. We'll see if that holds true. Which means if you have a seller who's on the fence as it relates to values, or can I now sell a property that was a short sale 6 months ago that's now not a short sale today, you need to get back on the horn with those people. You know, I do think there's a lot of people who are not in default, by the way, so it doesn't necessarily help to go to the notice of default list on those, but they've just been sitting there. I look in my neighborhood, I've got a lot of old people that live in my neighborhood. You know, a lot of old people. And maybe the properties are clear, I don't know. But I would think that there's price points for certain people that would say when it gets to this point, or when it gets back to this point, we'll sell. And they probably have those conversations with their spouse or whatever, says, gosh, I wish we would have sold when it was X, and now it's slid back down, and now it's going to be back at X a little bit. I'm just convinced of it. So anyway, those are the CRMLS numbers. The chart is, you know, the chart is the chart. You know, it wouldn't be a meeting if I didn't show you this chart. This is the ugly inventory levels, and we're still continually working. Red bars, of course, inventory. That's CRMLS. It's not Moval. If it was Moval, I guess we're looking at 150 properties right now. Has anybody put anything in escrow in Moreno Valley in the last month?
I have. What?
Yeah.
That was a real question. That was a real question. How many, Ray? How many? Okay, well, 4 of you. That's a legitimate question. 5 of you. It's a tough nut. Tough nut. So, Shelly's falling over there. But anyway, getting back to our listing side, I think as we're starting to see these property values increase, you're going to start to see some. There are more standard sales hitting the market today than have been on the market in a long, long time. And obviously that means a lot more opportunity, quicker escrows, we don't have all the hassles and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So I thought I saw you. Did you have a comment? Or?
Most of them are corporate sales.
Most of them are what?
Corporate sales.
Corporate? What do you mean by corporate?
Investors.
Oh, investors reselling?
Corporates, yeah.
Yeah.
I listed 5 last month, and 2 of them were standard sales. I see more and more Danny and I were talking about it. I see more and more standard sales coming to the market.
And other than just working, what are you doing? Working?
I'm marketing.
Sending some letters?
Sending lots of
Holding open
letters
houses?
Spirit of
In the
influence.
office at 6, 7 o'clock at night?
Open houses. I double-ended the house across the street from me, a cash transaction from an open house last weekend. We opened, double-ended it.
Yeah. We,
By the way, he didn't get a yogurt.
oh, a burrito? I think we got one. All right. But, you know, and I kind of say this with a little bit of a tone in my voice. Who's been in the office recently and have not seen Team Linda Kugel in the office? Okay, 2 of you. Because I'm in the office sporadically. I'm in the office sometimes early, I'm in the office sometimes late, I'm in the office sometimes here on the weekend, and I'm here and there. And I got to tell you, there are only a handful of agents in this office that are consistently in the office early, late, weekends, you know, running into open house signs. Okay, this isn't a criticism. If you're working from home, no need to be defensive. If you're out and you're working from home and you're doing all of that stuff, then God bless you. I'm one of those guys. I would be one of those home workers, that's for sure. The only reason I'm pointing out Shelley and Jim is because of this. You know, there is a work ethic and a work product that gets to, how many transactions actually was that last month? No sales side, closed transactions, 7? 7, 8? That's not a bad month, guys. I would think most of us, most of us, yeah, it's 2 years for some of us. It's a career for some of us. So, if it wasn't a little true, it wouldn't be funny. So, at any rate, we got to get out there. You got to get engaged. So if you need some help with that, come see me, and we'll give you some tips. Okay, so a little bit. I want to briefly touch on Lead Router. I made an announcement. God, that meeting we had in Ontario was only a month ago, and it seems like that was like 5 months ago. And I don't mean the one we did 5 months ago. The one we did 4 weeks ago seemed like it was 5 months ago. I am making some changes to lead router. To my surprise, very few of you have kind of come up to me and said, hey, you mentioned you were going to make some changes and let me back in on lead router. But a few of you had, or have. So you will see some changes to lead router coming up probably in the next couple of weeks. I will be approaching you, or if you don't get approached by me, come see me. And we'll talk about what those are and what those opportunities are. The market data, I don't want to spend a lot of time going through these charts. I just will share with you, I think I did Moreno Valley. Actually, I didn't. We'll just pull up, again, we just looked at the CRMLS data. The Moreno Valley data basically is the same. There really is no different. The month supply for all of them are MLS is here. And if you can see the little number down at the bottom, it's a 1.7 month supply. The chart to the right translates into a 1.7 month supply, whereas 2 years ago it was a 7 month supply, and about a year ago it was a 5.2 month supply. Moreno Valley's month supply now is what?
10 days.
15 days, 10 days. That's why I asked the question, and I didn't mean it to be funny, who sold a house in Moreno Valley in the last month? It's tough. Who has buyers for Moreno Valley right now? Good. Now that's what I would expect. We all have buyers that want to buy properties in the city, but getting that offer accepted is a challenge. So, at any rate, I don't know where ultimately we're headed with inventory, but I'll give you. Well, actually, let me show you this, and we'll kind of open this up for some dialogue a little bit. This is an email. Who's subscribing to Housing Wire? Anybody? If you don't subscribe to Housing Wire, you should. I mean, it's just one more email to kind of fill up your email box. But it's between Housing Wire and DS News, they're probably the two best. And again, don't just think, oh, it's only REO stuff. It's not. It used to be more REO stuff, maybe 2-3 years ago. It's just market data. Okay, it's just really good. There's a lot of stuff on the mortgage industry, what have you. But anyway, this came out 2 days ago. I have yet to have this confirmed by Fannie Mae Direct, but this to me is a big deal. Okay, and I think we all should kind of take a look at this and maybe talk about it a little bit and see if you guys think the same thing I think when we read this. And basically the headline is Fannie Mae moving REO management in-house. Okay, and what that means for those of you that aren't in a Fannie Mae account and have been worked on them, which is most of you, but you may be familiar with a few years ago, Fannie Mae on all of their foreclosure, Freddie Mac as well, decided to go to an outsourcer platform. So in other words, 100 properties are foreclosed upon, they come into Fannie Mae's inventory. 5 years ago, 100 of those 100 properties were all basically managed and dealt with and sold, listed and sold through Fannie Mae's internal process. You would literally be working with an employee at Fannie Mae, whether they were in Dallas or whether they moved to Irvine or whatever it happened to be. About 4 years ago, this was in 2008, Fannie publicly came out and said, we are abandoning that model and we are going to go to an outsourcer model. And for the last 4 years, I don't know, I might have the numbers wrong a little bit, but for the last 4 years, if they foreclosed on 100 properties, and those 100 properties came into Fannie's inventory, Fannie Mae's in-house people would process, let's just say 50 of them, okay? And then the other 50 would be outsourced. We've all heard the word outsourcers as it relates to the REO stuff. Atlas REO, Old Republic, Equity Point, VRM, whatever. The list goes on and on and on. So it's been a good thing. It's been a good thing for the industry. It's been a good thing for me. It's been a good thing for the office. Because in the beginning I thought it was terrible. In fact, Debbie may remember when they first did that, we got an email on a Friday afternoon. An email said, these 15 properties that are now listed with Fannie Mae have been pulled off the market. They're no longer yours. No explanation. It was not a fun weekend. Monday morning, we got 15 emails from, I don't know who it was, Old Republic or somebody, that said, hey, guess what? You've got 15 new listings. Same exact 15 properties that we had just lost on Friday. Of course, with no explanation from Fannie.
It would be nice if they would have told you
Yeah,
both on Friday.
you would think, or at least said this is what's going on. Like I said, it made for a fun weekend. So at any rate, that was the start, and I think that was somewhere around 2008, maybe 2007. But at any rate, that was the start of Fannie Mae using outsourcers, and then from that point, they started outsourcing a good portion of their business. And the theory, in part, was two things. Number one, the volume is going to be large. We need extra help to help distribute the REOs.
Cheap help.
And then, secondly, or maybe firstly, I don't know which was the priority, is Fannie Mae wanted to get out of the REO sales business. In other words, they wouldn't have to pay asset managers and the staffing people the salaries and the benefits and the insurance and all the rest of that, because when they outsource it, it's all independent contractors. And frankly, it didn't cost them any more anyway, because what they did, if it was a 5.5% commission, if it was with Fannie Mae, if the commission stayed 5.5%, they gave it to the outsourcers, Delgado Outsourcing Company, said it's still a 5.5% commission. Delgado said, okay, great, we'll work for a 0.5 point, and then they cut the listing broker's commission from 2.5 to 2. It didn't cost Fannie Mae a dime. It completely eliminated the payroll. So with that background, that's been the policy for Fannie for almost 5 years. If you can read the whole article here, basically it says, and about 2-3 months ago, Fannie started chopping off outsourcers. Frankly, the best outsourcer that we do business with was Atlas REO. They got canned by Fannie probably 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. Well, at any rate, the remaining 3 outsourcers got their pink slips sometime this week. And over the next 3 months, Fannie Mae will no longer be using outsourcers to sell their REO stuff. They're going to bring it all back in-house. It's a complete 180 from what they were doing before. So why do I take 5 minutes to explain all this to you? My interpretation of this is the following. Fannie Mae does not expect to be pushing a whole lot of inventory into the marketplace in the next 12 months. If they did, they have the infrastructure set up to do it in the form of these outsourcers. And given that they basically let them all go, they must be anticipating a very controlled level of inventory that they can handle in-house. So, if any of us were expecting a wave or a tsunami of REO properties, and although this doesn't apply to Freddie, for all intents and purposes, I think this applies to Freddie as well. They may continue to use outsourcers, but the larger point is the REO inventory does not appear to be in Fannie Mae's sites at high levels. So I have mixed feelings about that. Obviously, I'd like to see the market clear, and since we do business with Fannie, I'd like to see more Fannie Mae REO in the marketplace. But maybe part of it has to go back to that chart we had up just a few minutes ago. As property values are rising, which I really, truly think is the master plan. The master plan is keep the inventory artificially low. We've already seen a 13% increase in property values in the Inland Empire in 5 months. And frankly, it's going to eliminate a lot of the potential REO market. So if we could just force the short sale sellers to sell, that would really make a big difference. So anyway, if you're not, anybody feel any differently than what I just said? Does that make sense? No? Can't? I'm doing one? Don't care? One way or the other?
Makes sense.
You like that? Okay. Like I said, I didn't pull the Moreno Valley numbers, so I'm just going to skip through this. Want to talk? Anybody else got anything else, market data wise? Are we awake? Just a little bit. Okay. I want to talk to you about something a little bit new. I've talked to 2 or 3 of you about this already. Who's heard of SkySlope? One? Did you hear about it before I talked to you about it? Who has ever used at this office or another office or currently on your own any sort of transaction management platform to manage your files? Nobody. One. Okay. Has anybody ever heard of like Track My File?
Yeah.
Or Sure Close? Or there's a couple other big ones out there. Well, this is what we're doing. We have been testing this product internally with kind of management and staff for the last couple of weeks. We probably have about another week of testing on the management staff level. And then I am going to solicit probably no more than 5 agents in this office I've already talked to 2 of you, I think. I know I talked to Shelley, and Mike, I think you and I talked, and might have been one other. But if you are interested in being a beta tester for this program, let me know. And I'm hoping that by October 1st, our 5 interested beta testers will throw you on the system. We'll let you play with it for about a month. Hopefully we'll work out any bugs, or if our beta testers come back and say the program stinks, we hate it, then we may scrap it and just go to something else. But my goal is to get some beta testers on this by October 1, and then hopefully by November 1, roll it out to the entire office. So for those of you that are scratching your head and saying, well, Lance, that sounds great, but I don't know what you're talking about. Does anybody not know what I'm talking about? Everybody gets it? How can you get it? I haven't even told you what it is. I can't get it.
Transaction management.
The transaction management. Well, let me give you just a 4-minute. Which I think I already have this saved somewhere. The gist of it is we are trying to get rid of all of our paper files. Who loves the paper files? Who loves the checklist? Who loves to take the file and then give it to Anna at close of escrow? And it's complete, it's not complete. Robin is the only one. Okay.
I like paperwork.
Okay. What this would do, and I know this isn't for everybody, so just relax. If you hate this, then I just have 2 things to say to you. If you hate it, don't come to me and ask me to be a beta tester, okay? And then give it some time before you pass judgment when we talk about this again in November. But this is the gist of it. It's an online file. It is nothing more than paper file. It's online. Okay. I've got a couple dummy transactions in here, and I'll just. Anna, did you chop that one up, or is it?
I'm still doing
Is
that.
there anything that's chopped up on it? Nothing wrong.
Files are too big.
Okay. I'll show you one that I've created. This is just a dummy property I made. 1234 Main Street, Moreno Valley, yada yada yada. The way this would work is, if whether you're a listing agent or a buyer, whether it doesn't matter who you're representing, buyer or seller. You would come in, this is web-based by the way, access it from anywhere you've got an internet connection. You would come into the program, you would put in, and you have your own username and login so it knows who you are and it's secure to you. The only people that can see what's in your file are you and sales manager or an administrator, okay? Or if you had an assistant or a team member or something like that, I don't know if we can have unique logins or whether you would share your login if you were a team, but you can't have multiple logins, whatever. But anyway, you would come in, you would put in your information, 123 Main Street, sales price, yada, 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 yada. It does have a place to put in who the people are, you know, who's the seller, who's the buyer, who's the escrow, who's the title. All of that is unique to you. So if the Delgados thought this was great and you wanted to, I'm assuming, well, I don't want to assume this because I know it's not true. Most of us don't have any sort of contact management system. Okay, for those of you that do, this is probably not as necessary, but for those of you that don't, this is a nice way to keep track of who all your people are. And if you type in Joe Smith's email, it saves Joe Smith's email. And I don't want to get too much into the minutia. But anyway, it has contact information for everybody involved in the transaction, buyer, seller, escrow, title, yada, yada, yada. It has basically commission breakdowns. So very simple. What's the sales price? What's the commission? Is there a referral on it? You can plug all that in. One nice thing that it does is it also allows us to track deposits. Okay? DRE, trust fund handling, all the rest of that sort of stuff. This is a really, you know, Shelley and myself and the other managers for a year before Shelley's departure into sales talked about what's going to be a better way for us to manage tracking deposits that come in earnest monies on offers. And I think for the most part we're doing pretty good with our paper log, but we've been looking for an electronic method to do it. This would be an electronic method for us to do that. Okay? So you basically, how much is the check? What did you do with it? Was it posted? It wouldn't necessarily eliminate the logbook, but it gives us an electronic DRE trackable record of where the deposit is. And of course you can also scan it in there as well. It's got property information I'm going to skip over, but let me go to what the core of this is really all about. There is a checklist for your file. And this isn't done. I'm going to try to make it a little more user friendly. But the checklist, basically, this was the equivalent of our paper checklist. I understand Jim really, really loves the paper checklist. Who loves our paper checklist? Who hates it? Why do you hate it?
Because I love that.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Okay? I look at it, my eyes just go crazy. You know? Do I have it? Do I not have it? You know, Jim was pointing out last night that the descriptions don't match. You know, unless you've been doing this 100 years. You know, Shelley pointed out a perfect example. What's the technical name for the TDS? Transfer Disclosure Statement.
Real estate transfer.
Is that the technical name? No, it's not. It's the Real Estate Transfer Disclosure Statement. So if you're looking in here, you're looking on the checklist, you're looking on WIM forms, I need a TDS. Where the hell is it? You know, what's the technical name for an agency disclosure? It's not agency disclosure. It's the disclosure to represent blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so anyway, the names don't match. So basically what this is, we would take our paper checklists, can never to be seen again. Okay? This would be your checklist. It would say, I'm going to turn this off. It would say, this is the checklist, and it's not done. We've got some typos and some stuff in here. But it basically would say what's required, what do you have, and then you would basically load them in as you get them. It would be the equivalent of taking it, stuffing it in the file. By the way, if someone gets a purchase contract signed by a buyer last night, what are you guys doing with that purchase contract other than stick it in your file? In other words, let me ask a different question. You're all taking those purchase contracts and you're putting them on the manager's desk for approval, correct?
No, not so much.
Not so much. Okay. Who's got a contract? There we go. Just give me a page. Give me just that one page right there. Lower left corner. Excuse me. Lower right corner. Everybody familiar with the lower right corner? What's that say? Reviewed by. Date. Who's that reviewed by supposed to be?
Well, it's supposed to be you.
Me. Okay. What's that date supposed to be?
Within 5 days.
Yep. Are we doing that?
No.
No.
Am I potentially creating a problem for myself?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. This eliminates that. Okay. You don't have to come in and put them on my desk and have them sit there for 3 weeks and then you say, well, at least I gave it to you. You take them, you put them in the file. These are PDFs. Oh my God, I have to download a PDF. I have to get it in there. Yes, there's a bunch of ways to do it. I'll show you how. But you put it in the file, your file, okay, electronically. We get an administration side, myself or Anna, or it could be Norm in another office, or whoever we designate the checker, gets a little workflow that says, hey, the Delgados have an accepted offer on 123 Main Street, and here it is. We look at it. We say it looks great. We click accept. You guys get a little note back, and on your side, it says it's done. You never have to go in and touch it again. The RPA is completed. Your checklist is done. Okay? And then you go down to the next one, the next one, the next one. Or let's suppose we review the art. Who has ever had a file turned back to them for a problem? Now, the fact that I don't see any hands going up scares the hell out of me, because if I was reviewing your files, I can guarantee you I probably would turn back every single file, including my own, for a problem. Something's wrong with every one of your files. I don't care how good you are. If we really want to look, there's an initial that's missing, there's something that's wrong. No? We're all perfect? Okay, well this is the deal. We go up here, if you don't like it, there's something missing, we just click a little box that says, hey, you missed an initial on page 6 of the contract. You get a little alert back that says, oh, we missed page 6. You get page 6 initial, you put it back in the system, and then we click accept. So in theory, by the time escrow is ready to close, this entire checklist is done. Okay? Or there's a possibility, and some of these things say required, don't get hung up on that. But some of them will say required. You know, an RPA, of course, would be required on most of our, you know, probably pretty hard to close an escrow without an RPA. But if they're not required or you don't need them, you can just send a little note that says, hey, I don't need this. This wasn't done. This was waived. Whatever it happens to be, and then we just accept it. So in theory, at the end of the escrow closing, you upload a HUD-1, you give the check to Anna or to Lily, it's done. And we are completely 100% in compliance with the area. Now the nice part for you guys is you don't need a paper file anymore. I don't know who's carrying paper files with them, but if you like that, you certainly can continue to have that. But otherwise, you can track 100% of your stuff as long as you have an internet connection. 100%. And you can email out of here, you can forward out of here. And let me show you another thing that's kind of cool. They're one of many things that this does, but let me give you a quick example. This is, I think some of you will go pretty cool. Hopefully all of you will go pretty cool. I've just set up a test for this particular property. And by the way, before I show this to you, let me kind of tie this in here a little bit. Every time you put a property in the system assigns a unique email to that property. So this is my dummy property, 1234 Main Street, Moreno Valley. As soon as I put that in the system assigned it an email, main 1234. Apparently it likes a 5-digit address, so it added a 2 to the end of it. But it gave it a main 12342 at skyslope.com. The reason it's done that is that email is tied to this file. So this is the deal. Let's pretend that I am a listing agent, and let's pretend that I have an email that has come in from a buyer's agent. Let's do this a little differently. Let's actually go to my email box, see if there's a real example in here. I'm looking for... What's that? You want to be a beta tester? We have a victim.
Yes, you have another one.
We have a beta tester. We have 2 beta testers. Let's see what this is. I think this is just a counteroffer. Okay. This is a counteroffer that came in. Let's pretend for a moment that this email came in from Kevin Nicholson on a property counteroffer at Cobalt Circle in wherever city that is. Let's pretend that's 123 Main Street. I now have a counteroffer that's come in on that property. I want to get this in my file. I forward this email to, I have this set up a little differently, so say, why am I forwarding it to Ryan? The only reason I'm forwarding it to Ryan, Ryan works at Skyslope, and I just put, for example purposes, I put my 123 Main Street as an example. Okay, so what I did is I got an email with one of the items on my checklist that I need to get in my file, right? I just took that email and I forwarded it to 1 Main Street at Skyslope, and I don't know exactly how quickly this works in real time. We're going to find out in a minute. When I go to my Documents tab, I'm now back in Skyslope. I go to my Documents tab. There it is. Now, in Skyslope, in the file, is the counteroffer I just forwarded from the agent who sent me the counteroffer, and it's sitting right there. Now, I can take this right now, and I can load it into counteroffer number 1. Okay. Now, we know what's even better? Now, this part would be really cool. I don't think we're going to get a lot of buy-in on this from the other side. But let's just suppose that you are a super, super strong agent. And you're on, Stephen and I is on the other side. And we know how Stephen is, right? So we say, Stephen, this is the deal. You want to do business with me? Stephen said, yeah. You want your offer to get accepted? Yeah. And I'll tell you what. I'll recommend your offer for acceptance to the seller. I'm just going to ask you one little favor. Every time we correspond on this file, I want you to do it via email. Which is probably what we're all doing anyway, right? Okay, all of our paperwork's being done by email anyway. But every time you send me an email, lance@pioneerrealestate.com, with a counter, a disclosure, a termite inspection, whatever it happens to be, do me a favor and CC it to main 12342 at skyslope.com. Or you tell your buyer or your seller, every time you send me something, you can send it to me directly, but I want you to CC it to your address at skyslope.com. Guess what happens? That email automatically takes whatever they've sent you in that PDF and drops it right in the file for you. You never have to touch these files again. And the beautiful part about this, I would think almost 100% of the files I'm working on, the documents are coming to us in the form of emails. If it's not 100%, it's 90. Okay. Everybody agree with that? I thought you'd never ask. Let me show you another one. Are you guys ready for this? Let me go back. I'm going to send another email to Ryan.
I want to see you put it where it belongs.
We'll do that too. Actually, I kind of begged off on that one because I'm not sure I remember exactly how to do that. Let me, oops, what did I do here? Email. Okay. We're going to put another file in here. And, okay, let's pretend for a moment. Let's just grab this one. Okay, now this obviously has nothing to do with our transaction. I just grabbed a median price for the city of Covina, and I emailed it into SkySlope. Okay, who has gotten an email from an agent, or maybe you've got it from your client, the buyer, the seller, and in that email they have sent you a copy of the listing agreement, the agency disclosure, the TDS, they've sent you a 20-page PDF, and which represents 4 different items on the checklist, right? Happens all the time, right? Are you ready for this?
Well, then they send it as 50
How are
megabytes.
you?
This is super duper cool. I got to refresh and go back into this. Now the email I just sent only has 2 pages, but it doesn't matter whether it's 2 pages or whether it's 102 pages. Hopefully it's going to be there. Oops, it doesn't look like it came through yet. Okay, well, we'll just use another one. Let's, can I use another one? There's one that's already in there. Let's grab this. Okay, let's pretend for a moment this email just came in and it's something. There is a button that's called split. Close that. By the way, it also lets you preview it. I don't know if you noticed what just came up. It'll let you preview it before you look at it. But you hit the split button, and the split button basically says, oh, okay, you want to do something with this. There's a 2-page document here. What is it? So you say, well, page 1 of 1, and again, if it was, let's say it was an RPA, obviously it'd be page 1 of 8. Page 1 through 1 is the RPA. Page 2 through 2 is the TDS. Okay? And you click split. What that is basically just done is it's now split that email into TDS and the RPA.
Perfect. Oh, yeah.
You liking what you're seeing? Okay. How's it do it? I don't know. It just does it. No, keep in mind. Now let me go back to that split screen. Maybe I oversimplify this a little bit. You guys do have to there's a little bit of effort in here. It doesn't just know what. You have to go, let's take this CRMLS thing just again. Oops, let's go back to this documents. Okay, here's the one. Here's the email that I actually just sent in. Let me click the split button again. Okay. Now again, it's a 2-page document. There is a preview thing over here. It does seem to have a little bit. I got to talk to the developers. It seems to have a little challenge with this is that form this should have the bars on it. I don't know why it's a red box. It should have the bars on it. But you can scroll through. It's okay. Well, that looks like page 1 of the RPA, and that looks like page 2 of the RPA, and you have to scroll through. So you do have to go through and take a look. Okay, what am I looking at? Okay, well, the first 3 pages are this. Page 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are this. And then you just scroll through, and as you do that, you label it over here. Okay? Which, by the way, you guys have to do anyway. Right? Because right now, what are you doing with that 80-page PDF? You're printing it out. You put it in the file. You're checking it off on your checklist. You either do it as you go or you do it at the end. Right? And then what happens if you have a partially signed TDS? Okay? Or there's a mistake. Hey, this Mr. signed it, but Mrs. didn't sign it. Now, how many TDSs, who has items in their file that have 6 copies basically of the same thing? Right? And finally, the 6th one is the one that's fully executed. Do you love that?
No.
It's a pain in the butt. Right? Well, with this, you can upload incomplete copy 1, incomplete copy 2, incomplete copy 3, and then when you finally get fully executed one, you just put it in and you label it fully executed TDS. Okay? Because technically, let's take an RPA for example. When you have a signed contract and it's incomplete, and then when you get the one that is complete, are you supposed to throw away the incompleted one? Or are you supposed to keep it in file? You're supposed to keep it in file. Okay? Do we all do that? Turn the tape off. You know, I don't do that. You know? Otherwise, our files are already this thing. If we kept in the 6 versions of the, of the fully executed contract, 5 of which are not fully executed, our files would be this thing. But at any rate, with this, it doesn't matter. You can just upload it into the box, and then all 5 of them are there. DRE's happy, I'm happy, brokers are, the compliance issues are happy, and it's all said and done. Okay, now somebody asked me, how do I get this into the file? Okay, this is the one. This is the one that we said. Oh, now I know how to do it. Let me close this. Okay, this is what you do. You now have some document, and by the way, you can do this as you go. So we have a bunch of documents in here that we've loaded. Now I decide, hey, I'm going to work on 123 Main Street file. Let me go to my checklist. Hey, I think I have, let's just pretend one of those things I loaded was the escrow. Actually, I said TDS, didn't I? Mm-hmm. I labeled one of them TDS. Let's go down to the, there it is, transfer disclosure statement. Attach. I click attach. It takes me to my documents. I click on the one that I labeled TDS. There it is. I can look at it. Is that really the TDS? Oh, there it is. Click assign. Okay. I think I got to close these pop-ups. Oh, apparently not. And now I go back to my checklist. It tells me that my transfer disclosure statement is pending approval from the manager. Now I'm logged in as the manager, so let's say Teresa's sitting at the computer and she's doing this, and she just logged it in. On your screen, it says pending approval. Okay. Now it comes to me. I look at it. Paperwork's done. I accept it. Now on your screen, in real time, it says completed. It's done. No more checklists. No more, do I have the TDS? Do I not have the TDS? Do I have the fully executed TDS? It's done. So as you're getting close to your close of escrow, or getting close to day 17 when you're supposed to have all your disclosures done, you can go in and say, oh, hey, wait a minute, I'm missing this and this and this and this and this. Or you can say, I got it all. Look, the only thing I'm missing is a HUD 1. Okay? Or, let me give you another example. Let's go to, what did I label that other one? What did I call it? Oh, it doesn't matter. Let's just pretend I've got an agency disclosure. I'm going to click attach. I've got my agency disclosure. Let's just call this Claremont Plus. Let's just pretend that says agency disclosure. I click assign, and I come down here. It's pending. Let's suppose there's something wrong with it. So whoever your manager is comes in and says, there's something wrong. Oops. Now hopefully we give you a little better description of what that is. But if we tell you there's something wrong, the notes go in the notes section. And this looks a little funky on my screen. We reject it. Oops.
$1 million question.
Okay.
Any cost to us?
No. No cost to you guys, by the way. Did you get that? No cost to you. Well, let me ask you something.
No, I can't.
Let me ask you guys something.
Doesn't like your answer.
Well, I think I have to type reject before I type the no. I think that's the problem. I'm going to click submit. Yeah, I think I had to click the reject button and then tell you why I rejected it. I'm learning too. Okay. Maybe now I got to reject. Anyway, I'll figure it out. But Debbie asked, what are we going to charge you guys for this? I'm not going to charge you a dime for it.
No.
Unless you don't use it.
I like that.
Unless what? You don't use it?
Unless you
Unless you
don't
don't
use
use
it.
it.
Huh.
Now, I was really, I wasn't going to have this conversation today. I was just going to
Keep bringing them up.
kind of flow it. This is my thought. There's two reasons. There's one reason why I want this. Number one, I like to have a broker's license. I like my broker's license. okay? And I think you guys, I've said this before to a few, who has their broker's license in this room? Who's thought about getting their broker's license in this room? Okay. For all of you that are thinking about getting your broker's license, and many of you, because over the years I've had people come to me and they say, hey Lance, I'm thinking about getting my broker's license, and I don't freak out about that. I'm not the type that says, don't do that, because I'm fearful that you're going to go out and open your own shop and I'm going to lose you, and then you're going to want a higher commission split because now you're a broker, and you know, I will say, you know what, God bless you. If that's what you want to do, I think it's a great thing. It will not hurt you in any way, shape, or form. And I got to tell you, in a lot of ways, I really like it. And I would love nothing more than to have 180 agents in our office that are all brokers.
Yep.
Why would I want that?
Because it eliminates your liability.
This is the deal. Debbie is not a broker. Stephen is. Steve Browers is. Debbie makes a mistake on a file. It rises to the level of DRE's attention. DRE calls me, comes into the office. This is DRE. They walk right past Debbie. They don't even look at her. They don't want to talk to her. They have no interest in talking to her, and they walk right into my office and say, broker? Debbie screwed up. Who's responsible for Debbie's failures in this case? Me, 100%. Steve Browers is a broker. Steve makes the exact same mistake. It rises to the level of DRE. DRE comes into the office. They walk right past me. Good afternoon, Mr. Martin. Office looks nice today. Where's Mr. Browers at? And DRE is all over your ass.
Hey, but you're still a broker.
Doesn't matter. If you as a broker fail on your transaction, DRE comes to you, not to me.
Get my broker's license.
Okay? So for those of you that have a broker's license, you may consider rescinding that now and going back to the salesperson license. But in all seriousness, the liability is huge. I'm responsible to run a tight ship. This helps me run a tight ship. So for that reason alone, I should just make it mandatory across the offices, period, and say, hey, you got to use it. If you're technologically challenged, I'm sorry. If you don't know how to upload a PDF, I'm sorry. If you just can't do it, I'm sorry. I got to tell you, honestly, getting to the cost issue, the program's pretty cheap. I mean, it's costing me some money, but it's, in the scheme of things, it's fairly inexpensive. I'm not going to charge you guys for it. The thought was, and there's been a lot of discussion put into this, let's just suppose for a minute, Diane, I can't use it. I'm going to say, okay, and I might not say this for everybody, by the way. There's some people, Diane may come in and say, I can't use it, and I say, well, take your license and go somewhere else. You know, because you have to use it. Or Diane may come to me and say, I'm not going to use it. I say, okay, that's fine, I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to charge you $50 for every file you close that you don't use it.
Because somebody else has to.
Or maybe $100 for every file you close that you don't use it.
Charge $295 and then they'll use a transaction coordinator.
Or maybe $295. I don't know.
That'll
But
solve
if
the
you
problem.
use the system, by the way, just based upon the last half hour, love it, hate it?
Love it.
Raise your hand if you're loving it.
Love it.
Who's got a guts to say they hate it? So y'all love it. Okay.
Who's not awake?
Enough said, let's move on.
What about after the transaction closes? Do you still have access to the file?
Thank you.
Yep. The files, beautiful. Yes, the short, and actually you have access for them too long. DRE says that after 3 years, it's permissible to shred the file. Now, I'm kind of anal technology. In the old days, we used to have, you know, pay hundreds of dollars a month for storage lockers, right? And they collect dust, and you need to get a file, and you go over there, and you'd be filthy, and you get it. And then as the, you know, the storage locker would fill up, and you're like, well, geez, I either need to shred some files or I need to get a bigger storage locker. So then you call the shredder and you get rid of the ones that were 5 years old, 6 years old. You know, it's 3 years. This program, I think, keeps them indefinitely. Having said that, on month 37, I'm deleting them. Okay? Because if we get sued on month 37, permissibly, we're allowed to shred those documents. If I don't have the documents, my liability changes dramatically. Drastically. And that too. It's drastic and dramatic. So, having said that, and this is the case right now, we have electronically, I have files going back for 20 years.
Yep.
Oops, turn the tape off. If I was to get sued, the statute of limitations on most of those is gone, but if I was to get sued, for example, on a file that closed 4.5 years ago, and assuming that's still within the statute,
I wasn't-
and I have that file electronically, I have to turn that over.
No statute of limitations on fraud.
On fraud.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no.
You hear that?
Yep.
So at any rate, the files are accessible to you guys for basically for 3 years. And then of course, if you want it, I mean, you can, when you're done, this is another cool thing. This isn't new technology. This has been around a long time. At the end, you can zip up like a closing CD for your client and say, hey, here's all your stuff. You can do that for yourself. You know, you can say at the end of the year, if you want to put your 107 closings on one CD and pop them in there and say, hey, this is my 2012 closings, here they are. And if you want to hang on to those for 20 years, that's up to you. But at least for the 3-year window, you can go in anytime you want. And it, it happens all the time. A seller calls you around tax time, right? You get those calls in April. Oh, I need my closing statement. I'm in front of my tax site. What do you do? Well, you can go in here. You can grab it. You can email it right out of the program too, by the way. You don't even have to pull it into your own. You can grab, and I don't know how to do it. Someone asked me to do it. But you can say, here's the HUD one. Email it straight out to your client right from the system. Slick, slick, slick. So.
Cool,
Like
very
it?
cool. Like it.
Sweet, and there's a lot more stuff it does, but that's basically the gist of it. So this is the deal. Well, raise your hand if you want to be a beta tester.
I do.
Just because there's 5 hands up doesn't mean you have to stop raising your hand. Okay, I thought you were all going to raise your hand. All right. Well, at any rate, I will pick out 5 of you. Frankly, October 1. This is what I want to do. I don't want to just throw you into the program and have you. By the way, it's got 24/7 help and all sorts of crazy stuff. But for the 5 of you that volunteer and are selected, we'll do kind of what we just did, only a little bit more in depth. Give you guys an opportunity to play with it. I really want feedback. This doesn't work, Lance. Okay, because I don't want to.
Like it doesn't work through Internet Explorer and it only
Right.
works through Firefox.
Whatever, that type of stuff. So, anyway, but that's the goal. And then hopefully by November 1 we'll get the whole office on that. And it'll eliminate. Look it down and see that stack.
Yeah,
on
you have to
here?
see the floor.
Okay, and you see the floor. You see it on the reception desk. That is so bad. I cannot tell you how bad that is for a variety of reasons. There's 25 reasons why those would appear to be 3 closed files on top of the thing here. There's probably someone's social security number in there.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, driver's license.
There's all sorts of stuff in there that's just sitting there. And that's secure compared to some of the other stuff. Okay, anyway, that's going to go away quickly. Yeah,
What about the rejected offers? Does this
Yeah.
program?
put it on there. Yeah, by the way,
Is there a spot in the
by the
bottom?
way, okay, you guys have written an offer.
Right.
It hasn't been accepted. What are you doing with it? You turning that in, getting approved?
I'm turning it in.
All of you?
Yep,
All of you?
yep,
All the time?
yep.
Not everybody.
Okay, for those of you that are not
everybody.
saying yet, is there anybody who is not turning in rejected offers? Raise your hand. Be honest, of course. Most of you.
100%.
Most of you are not turning in rejected offers. Well, this is how you turn in a rejected offer. You go in here, you create a file, you put in the RPA, you click offer has been rejected, file is closed. Finish.
So you upload it even if it's not fully executed.
Right.
Correct. What you can do, and I don't know that I completely, I think I
Okay,
did
you're
it.
the listing agent. Go to the bottom of this. If you're the listing agent and you've got 25 offers on this property that were rejected, is there a place to put assorted flora and
Yes,
fauna?
this is what you're gonna do. And I don't know if this is, let me check this real quick. Where did I just did this yesterday. I forgot what I did with that. Who said it's incredible? You said incredible. I agree.
More than incredible.
It is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I thought I did this yesterday.
Can we, Lance, can you establish it for like an investor client that you end up with 8,000 rejected and just have that as the
Yeah.
You
client?
can, but let's pretend. Okay, let me show you something real quick. Let's pretend that you're the listing agent. By the way, there's a different side for the listing transaction. Well, let's pretend you're the listing agent. Oh, actually, there is 2 in here. Okay, this is my. I did this yesterday. Test 1 could be rejected offer 1. Test 2, rejected offer 2. Okay. Rejected offer 3, rejected offer 4, rejected offer 5, and then now you have finally the accepted one. offer under contract or accepted offer, number 20. Okay. Now, all these two PDFs are both in the RPA
Okay.
section. Okay? So at a later date, if someone called and said, hey, I need a copy of my rejected offer on 123 Main Street, and you're like, oh God, there was like 17 offers on that. Do I have number 12 for Mr. and Mrs. Smith? You click on this paper clip, it pulls up this, and all seven, assuming you've loaded them, all 17 of the PDFs are there. And then you just, and depending on how you label, like for example on our system, because Drew used to get thousands of offers a month, but we would label them Main Street, comma 123 dash, buyer's name is Smith and agent's name is Jones. So we would label it, the address, Smith Jones, which to us meant Smith was the selling agent or the agent representing the buyer, and the buyer's name was Jones. So we could very easily see, oh yeah, offer number 12 is the one you're looking for. All accounted for, all DRE compliant. Lou.
Why is the agent responsible for this rejected offer? I mean, why don't...
Why is
have
the
it going
listing agent
over?
responsible for, or why are you as the listing agent, or
Yeah.
why are you as the
As a
selling
listing
agent?
agent. Why is the listing agent
Probably
responsible?
not so much. Probably not so much, but I mean, but if you want to have let's face it, if you get an offer right now on your listing, and ultimately it gets rejected, you keep it in the file, you throw it away, what do you do with it?
Well, it's in file.
Keep it in the file. Okay, well, it's in the file. It's done.
Can you talk to that?
And you just put a note on here that says this is rejected offer, and the manager just clicks approved, puts it away, and it's done. Okay. Now, let me just finish my thought on that. If you're representing the buyer, you damn well better have a copy of that rejected offer somewhere. Because now the buyer, there's a problem with you. You screwed up the way the offer was written. They file a complaint to the Department of Real Estate. Says, hey, Lou didn't represent me properly on a representation on 123 Main Street. They send me a letter. I'm like, 123 Main Street, we never closed escrow on 123 Main Street. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. Lou never got paid on 123 Main Street. And the DRE says, oh, no. This was an offer that was written by Lou, submitted by Lou, was rejected, and Lou messed up. And I don't even have a copy of it. Again, raise your hand if you're not giving me copies of rejected offers. Be honest. All right. Well, this helps keep me in check. Helps keep us all in check. Tom?
Can you move that little box?
Yes.
I just want to see the top. It appears this is like property specific. Can we do it based on people specific and cross-reference? For example, if we're working on an investor, one guy, and he's got like 20 different properties, can we just go to that guy and manage all of his stuff? Or does it have to be set up per property?
That's a great
And then it
question.
just-
I know that if you have your investor information, and let's suppose you got
Under the
7
contacts
offers.
you're talking about?
What's that?
Under the contacts.
Under the contacts, it will say, you type in John, it'll say, oh, John investor, and then these are the properties that he's working on.
Okay.
You do have to have separate files. Again, just think of it as a paper file. You have to have
Sure.
separate property files.
But it'll
for
tell me,
everything.
it'll keep me on track on how many properties
I
are going for
believe
this one
so,
guy.
and I may be, again, I thought I was doing so good, and now you got
Sorry about that.
Stumped
Good
her.
question. I don't know. I promised I wasn't going to do this until I knew it inside and out. There's a dashboard associated with it. I think your guys' dashboard will look similar to mine, but it will basically tell you this is how many properties that you have scheduled to close this month based upon the close. Which, by the way, and I know how, because you guys are all so good at doing this, no more sales reports if you use this. Okay? Because what will end up happening is if you put in a new transaction, it assumes you made a sale. We now get a note that says, Shelley just made a sale. No sales report required. Okay? Which is going to help us tremendously. But anyway, this is your list. It'll say this is what you have scheduled to close. You've got active. I think this active means these are active. Is that task or active listings? You know, Anna?
Active listings.
I think this is active listings. Pending, we just set up a couple in here. And it'll tell you if your listings are set to expire, but then it'll also tell you what your tasks are. It'll say, let's suppose the broker sent you back 2 rejected items. You don't have to sit there and wait in front of the computer next time you log on. Cancel, there you go, cancel contracts. Reminder. It also works with digital signatures and all the rest of that. So, at any rate, I pretty much exhausted my knowledge of the program, so any more questions, I probably don't know.
Can you ask him a question? Can he add a tab to each transaction that says, rejected offers?
Yeah.
Yep, you can.
And that way they're not in with the other RPA.
This is
that's what I was
why
telling
we
you.
really want to have beta testers, because what we want to do,
Because I don't want to ever see him again. It's just put him in there.
possibly, Debbie just asked me if we could have, you could beta test sooner rather than later.
How about now? 'Cause now we're
Well, I'm
locked in,
getting ready
right?
to submit an offer today,
Okay,
and I would love that.
so if you want to have a activity that says RPA rejected,
Yes,
You can.
a tab that says RPA rejected.
and we're going to put that in the sales documentation,
Yes.
we're going to click save.
Okay, now the next question.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I know what I'm doing. I want to go to my back to lists. I want to go down to my, which by the way, we're going to have different lists for different transactions. Right now, the only one you can't really see this down at the bottom. The only one we really have set up is traditional sale.
Okay.
Do we need a short sale addendum on a traditional sale? No. Do we need it on a short sale?
Yeah.
Yes. So when you open up your transaction, you're going to say it's a short sale, and then on the checklist we'll say I need the short sale addendum of this, whatever it happens to be. On the traditional sale, it won't be there.
How about the FHA versus conventional or cash?
We can separate all that out as well. And again, great stuff for the beta tester. But let's suppose what Diane said is we need to have additional items on the list. What did I do with my RPA rejected?
I know you're making me curse there.
I know, I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute, I have what I had here. Just a second here. Traditional sale. I'll go here. And I want to import a new item. And I want to import what I just typed. This all has to be ordered and all the rest of that sort is probably at the bottom. There it is. I want to import the RPA rejected. I click save. Now it is on the traditional sale. If we go back, I wonder if it'll do it for the one we have open. Let's go back to our sale on Main Street and see if it's there. Main Street. These all have to be ordered and all the rest of that sort of stuff, so it's probably not going to be at the top or the bottom or whatever. This is another reason why we kind of want to put it down at the bottom. Actually, I don't see it, but if I was to create a new document, there would now be an action in here for you to put in all of your rejected RPAs. Okay?
What about, can you ask him also about creating a file that is investor buyers that we never have the listing, so that we can just put all of Fred Smith's offers together?
I think that kind of goes with what Thomas is asking.
That's exactly what Thomas is asking.
Yeah, because how would you know who?
Potentially. I mean, if you wanted to create
You're talking about rejected offers?
Any
For
connectivity.
Joe Smith.
for one specific property.
That's how we file them. I mean, we file them we file them under rejected Diane Aronoff, Ed Smith. Or
But not this way.
if
you're
it's a
not
buyer.
going to.
Right.
This way was
it's
separated
gonna
by
be
property.
Every single one's gonna have a separate
Which
file.
is a pain if you're right.
A separate property.
And then that's
We'll take a look at that. I'm sure there's a way to make that work.
because then when you go back a year later and there's a question about the offer that you wrote, she's gonna remember she wrote 15 offers for Ed Smith. She's not gonna remember that she wrote one offer on Townsendia and one on.
Or that it was
Foxia.
Tuesday.
Well, one thing I think you can do, I think you can sort by,
Use the investor
don't
name
buy
at
client.
SkySlope.
I get you. Let me just go over here really quick and see.
It's also gonna give them, if you're writing somebody on Fred Smith, you do that in or maybe not the.
Lance, they can probably send it just to that investor@skyslope.com
Probably
email
so.
and then separate it out by address.
Well, what I'm trying to do, and it's not working for me, But
If you can do that.
when you go to your all of your transactions, I think you'll be able to search by Smith. You search Ed Smith, and it will say this is everything that Ed Smith has.
But that'd be great if we could have just one category, like your traditional
I got
center,
you.
sort of.
Okay, this is all for our beta testers to come back and we'll see what we can fix. Hopefully those type of suggestions will be easy and they'll say, yeah, bam, we can make this thing work. I'm sure there'll be one or two that we're going to be like, they can't do it that way and we'll have to figure it out.
The beta testers need to realize that there might be a little bit of frustration because some of the people don't work the way they want, but that's the reason we're doing beta testing.
Amen. Amen. And I gotta tell you, I've played with a lot of these programs before. I've seen a lot of them. This, so far, is the most user-friendly, the most intuitive, and it seems to be fairly easy for, I think, for lack of a better description, the lowest common denominator of technical agent skills. And it's pretty slick.
And it's what you do right now. It's not like you're
Well-
manually redoing the.
Well, for the most part, I mean, I don't know how you guys are managing your own stuff, but I would imagine so many of our documents are coming into us electronically and you're printing them and sticking them in the file. I mean, that printing and sticking in the file is done. Yeah, and again, Shelley and Jim are going, I don't know if this is a secret or not, but they're going to Hawaii, I think, in a day or two. If you needed to get to a file real quick, no big deal. Pop up the laptop at the pole, pull it up, email out the TDS, you're done. And it's even better than that. I mean, if you want to be a freak like me and you want to work at the pool, as you're checking your emails, forward them into 123 Main Street at Skyslope, and they're all sitting there waiting for you when they get back. And then when you get back on Monday, all of those documents that came in during the week are just sitting there waiting for you to put in the appropriate
When you
box.
don't have your laptop with you, you can just actually go there, because I put them in documents, and if I don't have my laptop, I can't get it.
There you go.
Yeah, but if you use Dropbox, you can.
Okay, all right, it sounds like we could go on.
You can use your smartphones too.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I mean, who's getting emails on their smartphones? Okay,
Yeah.
you get the email. Which, by the way, I want to thank. We got a huge response on the email I sent out, and very timely response from most of us. What?
Oops.
No, we did. We got very good response on the email I sent out the other day that says, "Hey, I need a quick reply." Frankly, to my surprise, probably 30% of our agents replied back before midnight, which really shocked me. Yeah.
No.
So, but at any rate, yeah, if you're working with a smartphone, super duper slick. And there's probably, I don't know, there's probably even an app that you can basically log into the system through your smartphone. Okay, again, we could go on for hours. I really wasn't expecting to spend this much time, but I'm glad we did because I'm hearing good stuff. And I was, not that I was concerned that you guys were going to hate it, but I'm just glad you don't hate it. Okay, I just want to, what do I got in here? Okay, just two, three things and we're done. Again, I want to continue to thank everybody in this office that is supporting Summer. She's doing a great job. She had a fantastic month of August. September started off fairly slow, but we're gonna, you're gonna have a good end of the month?
She's not done yet.
Okay, sounds like Diane's gonna, hi Summer, we're talking about you. So, at any rate, guys, it helps. That's all I can say. It helps keep the power on and pay the rent and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So again, thank you very, very much. We're not going to do our property management training today. I apologize. So for those of you that were expecting to hang around to do some property management training after the sales meeting, we'll probably do it next week. I'll send you out an email if you're interested. We've had between 5 and 10 or 12 of you that have been showing up for that. But not today. I've got some stuff to do. And last but not least, did anybody want to shoot a video today? Okay, if you want to shoot a video, because I've said at the end of every sales meeting, we'll set up the green screen and we'll shoot videos. If anybody wants to shoot a video of any sort today, come let me know. We'll set up the green screen and we'll be available to shoot the video between now and 5 o'clock. If not, that's fine. But that's going to be a standing invitation at the end of every sales meeting. So, I've seen the hands jump up. But if you're interested in doing that, let me know. Okay, we'll take 1 or 2 questions if you've got it, otherwise let's get out of here. Anybody? It's a tough nut. Tough nut. So, Shelly's falling over there. But anyway, getting back to our listing side, I think as we're starting to see these property values increase, you're gonna start to see some, there are more standard sales hitting the market today than have been on the market in a long, long time. And obviously that means a lot more opportunity, quicker escrows, and not all the hassles and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So I thought I saw you. Did you have a comment or?
Most of them are corporate sales,
Most of them are what?
corporate sales,
Corporate? What do you
Yeah,
mean
we're
by
set.
corporate?
investors.
Oh, investors reselling?
Corporates, yeah.
Yeah.
I listed 5 last month and 2 of them were standard sales. I see more and more Danny and I were talking about it. I see more and more standard sales coming to market.
And other than just working, what are you doing? Working?
I'm marketing,
Sending some letters?
sending lots of
Holding open
letters
houses?
out, Spirit of
In the
Influence.
office at 6, 7 o'clock at night?
Open houses, I double-ended the house across the street from me, a cash transaction from an open house last weekend. We opened, double-ended it.
Yeah. Wait.
By the way, he didn't get a yogurt.
Oh,
Margarita.
a burrito? I think we got one. All right. But, you know, and I kind of say this with a little bit of a tone in my voice. Who's been in the office recently and have not seen Team Linda Kugel in the office? Okay, 2 of you. Because I'm in the office sporadically. I'm in the office sometimes early, I'm in the office sometimes late, I'm in the office sometimes here on the weekend, and I'm here and there. And I got to tell you, there are only a handful of agents in this office that are consistently in the office early, late, weekends, you know, running into open house signs. Okay, this isn't a criticism. If you're working from home, no need to be defensive. If you're out and you're working from home and you're doing all of that stuff, then God bless you. I'm one of those guys. I would be one of those home workers, that's for sure. The only reason I'm pointing out Shelley and Jim is because of this. You know, there is a work ethic and a work product that gets to, how many transactions actually was that last month? No, sales side, closed transactions, 7? 7, 8? That's not a bad month, guys. I would think most of us,
Some of us.
most of us, yeah, it's 2 years for some of us. It's a career for some of us. So, if it wasn't a little true, it wouldn't be funny. It wasn't too shabby. The listings are really been the big challenge. I mean, if we go back and we look at listings taken over the last, you know, couple, 3 months, and it's obvious, I mean, the inventory is what it is. But that's just been the big challenge. So I don't have any magic bullets for you guys other than, you know, anything that you're doing that you're getting any sort of success on the listing side, whether you're working notice of defaults, and I know the short sale sellers just don't seem to be engaged. You know, if you've got the bank accounts, there's just not a lot of inventory coming there. I mean, I know Dwayne's picking up a couple, I've picked up a couple. Diane's not here, I don't know if she's picked up anything recently. But there just needless to say that inventory is not there. Along the line of the listing, and we're going to kind of talk about this a little bit with the market data. Matter of fact, let's just pull it up right now. I didn't have time to copy it onto my screen, so let me, or into the PowerPoint rather. Let me pull this up here real quick. What am I looking for? Okay, I'm just going to pull up Sierra MLS. Medium price, here we go. Okay, this is medium price Sierra MLS. A little bit difficult to see. I think that says 6.4% increase from 2 years ago. But if you actually look at February of 2012, at least as far as this chart is concerned, was the bottom, if you will, for median price for all of Sierra MLS. Since then, and I think I already did the math on this, but we'll let Mike test me out. February of 2012, medium is this number right here. We're looking at the sold. is 214,300. And the median as of August was 250. So by my calculations, that's about $35,000 higher than it was 5-6 months ago. And that represents, what is that, 14% increase in property values in CRMLS in, how many months is that? 5 months? 6 months? If you look at some of these other areas, we're seeing the exact same thing. You look at Moreno Valley, I mean, Drew's written 240 offers for that investor in the last 3-4 weeks, and everything, multiple offers, same old story, above list price, cash, what you were telling me just a moment ago, same story. So, now the good news with this, and again, I don't want to get into too much of a debate as to whether it's artificial or whether you're comfortable with it, because it is artificial and I'm not comfortable with it, but it is the reality that we're dealing with. How many people went from a short sale to a standard sale in the last 3 months in CRMLS? I would think a few. Okay? I don't know what the number is, I don't know what the percentage is, but if you were on the cusp and you didn't necessarily want to go through a short sale and all of the headache and the hassle to go with this, and I think I told this story a month or so ago with Ted, who had a client out in Claremont. I think we're going to start to see some people that are going to qualify as standard sellers, and they may not have a lot of equity, maybe they have no equity, maybe it's just an even Steven deal. But we're starting to see, remember I said 4 or 5 months ago, we're going to see a 50% increase in property values by the end of the year, or certainly within the first quarter. I still believe that. I'm more convinced now than ever that we're going to see huge jumps in property values. And we'll see. We'll see if that holds true. Which means if you have a seller who's on the fence as it relates to values, or can I now sell a property that was a short sale 6 months ago that's now not a short sale today? You need to get back on the horn with those people. I do think there's a lot of people who are not in default, by the way. So it doesn't necessarily help to go to the notice of default list on those. But they've just been sitting there. I look in my neighborhood. I got a lot of old people that live in my neighborhood. A lot of old people. And maybe the properties are clear, I don't know. But I would think that there's price points for certain people that would say when it gets to this point, or when it gets back to this point, we'll sell. And they probably have those conversations with their spouse or whatever. It says, gosh, I wish we would have sold when it was X, and now it's slid back down, and now it's going to be back at X a little bit. I'm just convinced of it. So anyway, those are the CRMLS numbers. The chart is, the chart is the chart. It wouldn't be a meeting if I didn't show you this chart. This is the ugly inventory levels, and we're still continually working. The red bars, of course, inventory. That's CRMLS. It's not Moval. If it was Moval, I guess we're looking at 150 properties right now. Has anybody put anything in escrow in Moreno Valley in the last month?
I have.
What?
Yeah.
That was a real question. That was a real question. How many, Ray? How many? Okay, well, 4 of you. That's a legitimate question. 5 of you. Anyway, just an update on the phones. Probably the last time you'll ever hear me talk about the phones in a meeting setting, which is, believe me, makes nobody happier than me, because I'm tired of talking about the phones. But at any rate, the phones are done. All right. So the last step in our phones being done are home phones. So I know a few of you guys have said, hey, I'm interested in that, and we kind of put you off because we wanted to make sure we got Claremont, Covina, and Redlands, and all the offices basically dialed in. We have all of those offices dialed in. I've been to several of their meetings now, and I haven't heard anybody come to me recently anyway and say, hey, we have a phone problem, whether it's a static problem or drop calls. We get them occasionally, but nothing on mass volume. So anyway, our phone system is done, which means that probably within, what, Brian, the next few weeks, we could potentially start to. By the way, there's only 3 or 4 of you that have said you want a phone at your home. So if we only have 3 or 4 of you, Brian may be able to start deploying.
I've already got some of them programmed. I just need to give them like Debbie. I've got hers done in the Delgados.
Okay. All right, well, if you're interested in that, shoot me an email, come see Brian, and we'll get you set up. But anyway, they're done. They're working really good. We're pretty happy, and away we go. Just a reminder, we're trying to do a little bit better job updating the calendar. We are going to start kind of our series of training starting in October. So if you're interested in, and some of those are repeats, but we're going to be doing the listing presentations and all that sort of stuff, whatever that is, an 18 series thing. And then Norm is going to be doing some of his contract college stuff starting in October. So we'll have anywhere from 1 to 2 days a week of training. Some of it is repetitive, I get that, so if you've already seen it or you just want to watch the video, that's fine. But anyway, we'll be doing live trainings on Thursdays, and we may actually do some training on Tuesdays as well, depending on what Norm's schedule is. Portals are still there. Anybody using the portals? 1, 2, 3? Wow, okay, good, that's 4. That's 4 more than I thought. Good. So let's go, okay, good. Okay, on the monthly sales awards, I've got, I'm going to have to defer a couple of things because, again, I would have normally done this last night and I just was in no mood to do it and I didn't get up early enough to do it this morning. So on the listing sides, well, by the way, let's just take an informal survey. Who had a good listing month in the month of, wait a minute, July, because we're a couple months back. Okay? Okay, so nobody's claiming a good month for July, so nobody's disappointed that you're not going to get the top lister for the month of July? Okay, then we probably won't have a top lister for the month of July. How about August? Did anybody have a steam in August? Team Linda Kugel over here, Shelly's hands up. Anybody else do great listing-wise in August? Okay, that actually feels right. Because if I look at the numbers that come in every day, we run the hot sheet every day, and as we all know, maybe we will spend a lot of time talking about inventory levels today, but the listed inventory is dreadfully down. Who ran Moreno Valley in the last day or two? What is it? Somebody give it to me.
155 yesterday.
155. Hey, that's up. It was 144 last Thursday. Market's high. What is that? That's an 8% increase in inventory. Woo! So at any rate,
7 3/4. But
7 3/4%. Thanks, Mike. Mike is the mathematician. All right. So at any rate, obviously we need listings. For those of you that are getting listings, whether they're short sales or others, money in the bank, baby. I'm telling you. I know they're hard, but you know, capturing that listing inventory is where it's at. Okay, so I will go back, I will circle back and take a look at specifically Shelly for her August listings, because it sounds like she's the only one who's willing to jump out and say, I think I got it. So, anyway, on the sales side, for July, Mr. Michael Boab, Pulscamp.
Really? Well, did I do one deal?
You did one deal, and I'm going to give you this wonderful elite brochure that is redeemable for a plaque, which you can pick up. And a burrito. And that's redeemable for a plaque, which we will get ready for you in the next couple of days. So, anyway, congratulations, Michael. Top sales for July. And for August was our former sales manager and rock star, Shelly Linda Kugel. So, I need another brochure. Give me your brochure there.
Hey, I'll give her mine.
Excellent. And a yogurt.
Oh!
With no spoon. All right.
Shelly did better than that.
At any rate, actually, Mike and Shelly had pretty good. Mike had a great July, and Shelly had an even better August as far as closings were concerned. And I think we made a mistake. The Delgados got aced out of a sales award, I think, for May. So there'll be some adjustments going back.
There's more yogurt.
Give him another yogurt. Get a yogurt to the Team Delgado. So, at any rate.
By the way, that's my leg. Right
That's
there.
your, yeah, that is Shelly. She posed for that, actually. Absolutely. So, anyhow.
Is that a high school picture?
August actually, overall, for all of the offices for August was a pretty good month closing-wise. It wasn't great, but, you know, as far as the year goes,